Good day, everybody. This is Yin Yang in California with Morsels of a Thought number 1710. And we have a new book today. It is Sunday. We are going to the moon with Lunar Legacy DNA of Success. Yes. This is written by Greg Reed and Ben Haldeman and a lot of other people. It's a national bestseller. And look at all the signatures I've got. Look at this. And the table of contents. We will read first Lunar Legacy DNA of Success, Greg S. Reed, Ben Haldeman, To the Moon, Ben Haldeman says. And oh, wow. I've got Ken Ashley, Maris Segal. I've got, I think every single person has signed it. I'm not sure. But here, we are reading copyright 2023. I have permission from Greg Reed himself. And ISBN is 979-8-989-679-3-1-7. Joint Venture Publishing, Blue Sky. All rights reserved. No part of this book may be copied, reprinted, or reproduced in any way, electronic or otherwise, without written permission from the author and/or publisher. No warranties or guarantees are expressed or implied by the inclusion of the content herein. Neither the publisher nor the individual authors shall be liable for any physical, psychological, emotional, financial, or commercial damages, including but not limited to special, incidental, consequential, or other damages. Printed in the United States of America. Table of contents. I'm going to read you the 28 table of contents items. Featuring Ben Haldeman, featuring Ken Ashby, and Maris Segal. Siegel. Maris Siegel. Featuring Carol Marzuk, featuring Brady Slack, Ken Rochon, Lisa Williams, Susie Albert Miller, Ben Haldeman, Daryl Stern, Nadia Linda Hole, Hole, Jan McGregor, Chris Noggle, Annette Cruz Padilla, Larissa Harrington, Jonathan Ellis, Kohila Sivas, we've read her book, Anna Melikian, Brian Ponciano, Mark Willis, John Smith Jr., Victoria Rader, we've read her book, Tammy Joy Lane, Horatius Harris, and we've read Maris Siegel's book with what's his name? Maris Siegel and Ken Ashby. Tammy Joy Lane, Horatius Harris, Sloan Reed. I've met her at the Secret Knock Women. Ben Reinberg, Ken Ashby, and Maris Siegel. Conclusion about Greg Reed, about Ben Haldeman. Okay, chapter 1. What's your legacy? Ben Haldeman read out loud to his son, Ben. Oops. Sorry, Ron Haldeman read out loud to his son, Ben. Boy, we need to talk about this. Okay, chapter 1. What's your legacy? Ron Haldeman read out loud to his son, Ben. The question was from a list Ben compiled on a flight to visit his father in Cape Breton Island, Nova Scotia. Ron had built a summer house. Oh, God. Hold on a second. I have got to turn my tripod a little bit because we've got a little bit of a timer issue coming along. Sorry. We are reading Lunar Legacy. written by a lot of authors, including Greg Reed and Ben Haldeman, to okay, actually I should read the back cover to you too. Maybe that's why I'm being interrupted. The book that went to the moon. Anything is possible if you believe it is. Greg Reed, Ben Haldeman, and a cast of amazing thought leaders, entrepreneurs, spiritual leaders, and visionaries share their legacies on Earth and beyond. Join them as they uncover the DNA of their success and the profound messages that will impact humanity and transcend time and space. Lunar Legacy is the inspiration and launching pad for your unique success. And it all starts with one question. What's your legacy? Legacy, a snapshot. Snapshot. Sorry, guys. I woke up really late this morning. A snapshot of humanity that will live on and be told across the galaxy. Greg S. Reed. Here are their photos. Greg S. Reed is a renowned speaker, entrepreneur, filmmaker, and best-selling author. His projects include Millionaire Mentor, 3 Feet from Gold, Wealth Made Easy, and Wishman, a movie about Frank Shankwitz, the founder of the Make-A-Wish Foundation. To learn more, visit www.gregreed.com. Ben Haldeman. Ben Haldeman, a visionary space entrepreneur, is the founder of LifeShip, a movement preserving the DNA of Earth and messages from humanity on the moon and beyond. Learn more about Ben's mission and the space-time capsules that preserve human legacy at www.lifeship.com. Okay. Chapter 1. Chapitre 1. Chapitre 1. What's your legacy? Ron Haldeman read out loud to his son Ben. The question was from a list Ben compiled on the flight to visit his father in Cape Breton Island, Nova Scotia. Ron had built a summer house on a hilltop in a remote part of the stunning Canadian province many years before. The house was built from trees in the neighboring forests and large rocks from the Margaree River, a salmon river that flowed through the land. Ron studied biology when he was younger and was an avid salmon fisherman, a true conservationist, and a strong supporter of the environmental movement. He had even advocated for pesticides to be banned near the river. From a very young age, Ron taught Ben to care for the land. He showed him the importance of preserving ecosystems and the cycle of the salmon. His love of nature had an enduring impact on Ben, leaving a lasting impression throughout his life. Ron was passionate about doing everything he could to help the earth while being deeply connected to the land and the natural world. From the moment Ben was born, he and his father had a special bond, and now, many years later, that bond was stronger than ever. Ben had his own thoughts and dreams about preserving and maintaining nature, but he had more questions than answers about how to make a difference in the world. He knew that somehow the answers would come from his father. Ben was hoping his father would share examples of his achievements with him, but he was a very humble man. Instead, he spoke about how it was his duty, the responsibility of humankind to nurture the earth, to protect it and help it in any way we could, to contribute to sustaining its future. His father's passion was to help people, animals, and natural habitats that might otherwise be neglected. Living off the land and what nature provides was very close to Ron's heart, and he loved talking to his son about it. Ben was the reason he built the house on the hill and why it was so important for him to pass on his knowledge of nature and the land to his son. He wanted to provide his son with the tools needed to continue his own legacy for future generations. When Ben was born, Ron had secretly hoped he would follow in his footsteps and become a conservationist and a passionate advocate for protecting nature, both on their land in Nova Scotia and beyond. But over the years, it was clear that Ben was meant to follow a different path. During Ben's visit, it became clear to Ron that his son had arrived with an even bigger dream. Looking back, Ron had seen the wonder in Ben's eyes every time when he gazed upon the spectacular starry skies of Nova Scotia. As a toddler, he asked many questions about Mr. Moon. Ron answered most of them and relied on books for the rest. As Ben grew older, the questions became more complex and expanded to include the galaxies and space travel. Together, they learned and bonded over countless nights spent looking up at the stars. Ron was grateful Google was available once Ben's questions became more complicated around middle school. Despite their different paths, Ben always looked up to his father. He never took the time he spent with him for granted, and he appreciated the patience he always showed for his endless questions about the universe. Ron gazed at Ben with admiration. No star in the night shined as brightly as Ben's curiosity. He knew that one day Ben was going to make an impact on the world and beyond. Ben continued with the prompts. What is your secret to success? Ron tried to express his feelings in simple terms. I don't have a secret. I keep my attitude positive and do the best I can. I have always strived to do what is right for myself, my family, and community. I've always wanted to make life better for the people around me. Ben admired the many noble qualities his father possessed, and he always came away from their conversations feeling more knowledgeable, motivated, and inspired. This time, more than ever before, Ben would draw upon the inspiration to do something special, something he loved, and something he would forever be remembered for because it was new and innovative. Looking back down at the prompts, Ben asked, what is your favorite quote? Ron cupped his chin in one hand and ran his thumb over his stubble. Maya Angelou, one of my favorite authors, said, people will forget what you said. People will forget what you did. But people will never forget how you made them feel. Being a kind person is enough. Kindness can make positive change in the world more than anything else, and making a difference is the most fulfilling gesture you will ever perform. This will ensure that others will always remember you. Expand on that, replied Ben excitedly. He saw a glint in his father's eyes, something he had seen many times before. That meant his father had more to say. Throughout my life, I have wanted to make a positive contribution. In a fast paced and often negative world filled with chaos, I wanted to create a positive, calm environment where nature not only survived, but thrived and flourished. Ron was now retired, so Ben asked him how he planned on spending all his free time. Ron wanted to continue following his passion, stewarding the land and creating an ecological preserve to protect the land he lives on. His time would not be spent in front of the TV, but enjoying the space and time to host and grow community, to be at one with nature, and to surround himself with family and close friends. The conversation with his father got Ben thinking and wondering how he would be remembered. In high school, he was voted most likely to succeed in his class of 150 students. Now, many years later, what did that look like? Ben knew his father would see his impact on the world, but what about everyone else? How would he be remembered by the time he was thinking about retirement? Ben decided that his legacy needed to start now, and it had to be larger than life. Ben had discreetly recorded the conversation with Ron to really capture the authenticity and greatness of his father, his first hero, and to remember his father's legacy. Suddenly, he had a brilliant idea. Ben would save Ron's legacy and preserve it forever. Somehow, someway, he would save it where it could never be found. Somewhere safe, somewhere special, somewhere out of this world. Chapter 2. Aerospace engineering was Ben's calling and his dream. His grandfather had made a big impact on him, and so did his father. His father had built the homes they lived in and loved being outside in nature, learning about the world around him. Although his father didn't understand Ben's love of space, he supported his curiosity. Astronauts were cool, but Ron didn't know which direction his son's career would take, or if he'd ever realize his dream of becoming an astronaut. Going to the moon had always been Ben's holy grail. From the moment he was old enough to look up into the night sky and dream, he knew that one day he would go to the moon. 12 people have walked on the moon, not and only 12. He would be lucky number 13. By Ben's mid 20s, he started realizing why only 12 people had been on the moon. The opportunity was almost inconceivable due to limited resources and funding. Unless Ben could fund the trip himself, he would only ever see the moon from Earth. Determined, he started developing an idea to get at least part of himself into space to fulfill his dream. Ben's plan was to leave behind more than just an American flag. He would put human DNA on the moon to be found at some point in the future. He wanted to be a pioneer, a trailblazer. His mission was to back up and archive Earth's species and humanity. It would be a population bank to back up Earth and spread life to the stars, preserving the species on Earth for future generations. Some people close to Ben didn't understand why this was such an important mission. To Ben, there was something wonderful about having a backup copy of DNA that could be stored somewhere safe and far away, where it couldn't be destroyed. The mission would be more than collecting DNA and legacies. In Ben's eyes, it would tell the stories of humanity and help people explore their purpose, mission, and place in the cosmos. And it would provide a way for people to place their dreams, wishes, memories, and prayers into something that will last for eternity. Most of all, Ben envisioned a uniting mission that would enable people to be part of humanity's expansion beyond Earth, a mission to continue and expand the light of consciousness to the stars. One night during his sophomore year of high school, Ben was working hard on a biology paper that was due the next morning when he somehow lost the entire file, gone without a trace. The flashing cursor on the blindingly white and empty page seemed to mock him. He had no idea if it was deleted, misplaced, or how to get it back. His heart dropped into his stomach, and he felt like he was about to pass out. There was no way he could show his face in class without it. He had nothing to show for the last 2 months of research. Everyone would know he hadn't completed the assignment, and his reason sounded more like a bad excuse. In a last ditch effort to save face and his grade in the class, Ben was up all night rewriting the pages from nothing but memory. When the rehashed paper was graded, he barely scraped a C, but he knew his original paper would have earned him an A. His friends gave him a hard time about his rogue C grade, especially knowing that he was destined to become a brilliantly talented aerospace engineer. After that, he never wrote anything without saving it in two places. His thumb drive had been his best friend ever since that day. It saved him in college more times than he cared to remember, including the time he spilled coffee on his laptop, killing it instantly. Ben had an idea, which he presented to his professors throughout his schooling. Everyone knew his passion. The data of humanity is DNA, and it is stored in many computers around the world. But Ben wondered what would happen if that source disappeared. What if it was deleted, or if the Earth was gone and wiped from the universe? Would future civilizations know we were here, or if we ever existed? Ben often thought about life outside of Earth. The more he studied space, the more it made sense that there must be other forms of life out there. He wondered if or when humans could live on other planets. The Earth has given humans everything they have needed to grow, thrive, and expand, so why haven't they dispersed like seeds to new areas? Ben pondered if and how many people might still be living on Earth when the legacies and digital copy of DNA on the moon was found. They might have out to live in other parts of the galaxy and beyond. In his mind, it was time to expand our exploration beyond the confines of our planet. This was especially true because he knew the sun might not shine forever, and humanity has the technology and ambition to leave this earth. Beyond DNA, Ben's future plans included collecting the life lessons, mottos, and secrets of success to store on the moon. People would have a chance to write their own history. Future civilizations would be able to access this information and gain an understanding of who we are and what helps us thrive. He would call it the Lunar Legacy Project, and the spacecraft SpaceX Falcon 9 would launch it to the moon. On a more personal note, Ben was working on his legacy too. He had a daughter, Luna, and wanted to make sure he left a legacy behind for her and future generations to follow. Ben was eager to share his grandfather's words of wisdom with his child, as well as their many traditions like watching the Chicago Cubs and eating cookies before bed. This is really neat. Okay. Okay. Ben wasn't married, mostly because he hadn't yet found someone who aligned with his big vision. Before he made a commitment, he wanted to feel a powerful galactic alignment soul connection and would accept nothing less. He'd recently met a woman he was interested in getting to know. Destiny was the instructor at his first vinyasa class, and the two found that they enjoyed each other's company. Determined to take things slow, Ben was also interested in discovering more about her and whether their relationship might grow. So we will find out more later. This is Lunar Legacy, the DNA of Success by Greg S. Reed and Ben Haldeman. We'll talk to you later. Okay. Old Kinderhook.